Hi, I'm Matt with No Market Media. Today I'm doing a solo review. I'm taking a look at Space Force. Space Force, it's a show by Netflix or is on Netflix right now. I actually watched it over 2 weekends with a group of friends online and stuff. It's a show, it takes a comedic look at the newest branch of the US military, which is also called Space Force. It stars Steve Carell and John Malkovich. Carell plays General Mark Naird, and he's the commanding officer of Space Force. I just want to let you guys know that these are fictional characters, even though this is a show about a real branch of the military. But as I'll get into later, I don't think it's necessarily an accurate look at this branch of the military. Basically, it takes a look at General Naird, Steve Carell's character, and his approach on getting boots on the moon, so to speak, by 2024. It's the mission given to him by the President of the United States. It also takes a look at how his job affects his personal life, specifically, his family life. A lot of the episodes, center on conflict between the ideals of the military and military personnel or the government and those of scientists. Malkovich, he plays the lead scientist of Space Force. The character's name is Dr. Adrian Mallory. So his character and Steve Carell's character, they kind of butt heads a little bit. They have two different ideas. Each episode kind of brings up like a problem that the agency has to address. And Steve Carell, having a military background, has a certain idea of how to approach it, and then Mallory, having a scientific background, has a different approach. So it basically looks at how these two opposing ideas come together, and then a lot of times at the end of the episode, either they end up going with one of their ideas, or the two of them come to an agreement. They basically kind of see where each other's coming from and actually take some value on that different idea that wasn't necessarily, their own kind of thing. The show also takes a look at the general's complicated family life. I alluded to this at the beginning. His wife is played by Lisa Kudrow, and she's actually in prison for most of the show. So, this situation also leaves their daughter, who's played by Diana Silvers. She's kind of off on her own to like fend for herself, and she's a teenager, so she's dealing with school, she's dealing with jobs, she's dealing with boyfriends, kind of thing. Having parties or trying to throw parties, kind of thing, and she's kind of on her own because one of her parents is off in prison, and her other parent is busy, heading a military branch. So a lot of this show takes a look at General Naird and how he balances those two worlds. Having his job at the military base and his family life. Being a good father kind of thing, being an attentive father kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting. That's where basically you'll get the two big parts of the show. If you have ever seen some of Steve Carell's other stuff, specifically The Office or the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin, you know what you're gonna get out of Steve Carell in this show. It's a lot like those things that he's been in. And I could be wrong, but I believe Steve Carell is actually one of the writers of the show. So the show isn't something that is supposed to be taken real seriously. It's not a accurate look at Space Force. Heck, as Space Force, I don't even think it gets space right in the show. So if you're someone who likes shows that it's like, oh yeah, real good like sci-fi or whatever, or we're gonna get an accurate look at how the government works, or we're gonna get an accurate look at how we might do future missions in space. This is not that show. It has elements like that, but it's a comedy. I mean, things are ridiculous. One of my favorite episodes is the second episode, and they do a spacewalk with a chimpanzee, and it is absolutely ridiculous but hilarious at the same time. I was laughing so hard through that episode, and I won't spoil it to tell you how it goes. You'll just have to check it out for yourself. If I do have one big criticism of the show, is that I don't think there was enough laughs in it. I think I would have liked a little bit more. Like, there's episodes that had some good laughs and stuff. Some stuff you weren't expecting, and they're funny. I just wish there was more elements of that throughout the entire show. This was the first series, so a lot of things you're just testing to see what works. If it does get renewed for other seasons, it'll be interesting to see if they have more laughs and stuff like this. So yeah, like I said, if you want straight sci-fi, serious stuff, this isn't for you. But if you're looking at for a show that takes a funny look at like the government, a lot of these jokes come at like the government is expense, or the current political climate. Some of the jokes are kind of like, oh my goodness, it's funny, but it's also sad at the same time because it rings kind of true for what's going on. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something like that, then this is probably a show that you might want to check out. Again, it's Space Force, and it's showing on Netflix. For No Market Media, I'm Matt. Have a great day. Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.